Welcome to Live, life-inspired views for every day. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul. Can you imagine if people could read all our thoughts like we could read the closed captions on a television screen? It's pretty scary, isn't it? We all have thoughts in our heads that we would not be proud of if they were able to escape the privacy of our brains. But most of us have experienced times when those unwanted thoughts did translate into spoken words of which we really regretted. For some, it happens so frequently that it has become a habit. In fact, when it comes to uttering things about others in the form of gossip, it can really lead to that same kind of feeling or high that a drug-addicted person gets. Negative gossip and trash talking can be addictive. I suspect if the tables were turned and we would be the target of disrespectful verbiage, we would feel deeply hurt and offended. Some years ago, I found a phrase that has stuck with me and served to help me guard my tongue. Here it is. You can tell more about someone, not by what others say about them, but by what they say about others. This is one so worth repeating. As Frances Hodgson Burnett said, you learn things by saying them over and over and thinking about them until they stay in your mind forever. In our society of dichotomous opinions, it is so important to remember how we voice them. It is difficult to teach children respect when they are constantly exposed to the opposite by so many things seen or heard on television, social media, video games, the news, and even in the conversations overheard from the adults in their world. Unfortunately, children as well as adults have been desensitized to crude speech and disrespectful opinions easily tossed about on our tongues. We must stop now and then and say, shame on us. In this time of openness, we've lost sight of the little ears and even old ears around us who could be deeply affected by what they overhear coming from our mouths. When I first started storytelling, one of the old Hebrew folk tales became one of my favorites. It seems there was a man who approached a rabbi and said that he understood all the laws that forbade stealing, lying, killing, and cheating. But what he didn't understand was the law about slandering your neighbor. He said, "What's the big deal about talking about your neighbors and friends?" He chided an old rabbi one day with that same thought, and so the rabbi pondered it a bit, and then gave him the task of collecting a bag of feathers, and then told him he wanted him to place a feather on each of the doorsteps in his town. When he had done that, the rabbi would give him the answer he was looking for. Well, several days later, the man returned to the rabbi and told him he'd completed the task, so now he wanted the answer to his question. What is so bad about talking about your friends and neighbors? It's only words, he said. The rabbi wrinkled his brow and said, My son, I've got one more task. Go fetch all those feathers from the doorsteps and bring them back to me." The man threw up his hands and he cried, "That's impossible. Don't you know they're already blown away in the wind?" The rabbi slowly smiled and wisely replied, Just as the things we say about our friends and neighbors, we will never get those words back. They are blown away like feathers in the wind." I've always been impressed with a person who is willing to stand up for someone who has been talked about in a slanted way. It's hard to do and it takes a lot of courage. But when you do take the risk to stop the gossip train, to save someone's reputation, you tuck integrity into your soul and you put regret into a bubble and are able to blow it into the wind. You'd want someone to do that for you, I bet, wouldn't you? Alan Zimmerman said, "You will never rise above the words you use." So this week, on your bathroom mirror put, "You can tell more about a person not by what others say about them, but by what they say about others." Then live with the confidence that the words, like feathers that come from your mouth, will be those of kindness, encouragement, and care. Join me next Monday for Live, Life-Inspired Views for Every Day. I'm Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul.